Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the special webinar on mangroves coastal barriers organized by EIACP Resource Partner of MOEFCC, jointly organized by the Nature Club of Amrita University on the occasion of International Day of Mangroves 2023. We have gathered to honor and learn from our true environmental champion and a stalwart, Dr. Mahajan, who has joined us today. She is an associate professor at the Center for Sustainable Future at Amrita University, and she is also the coordinator of EIACP at Amrita University. Her exceptional dedication to mangrove conservation has earned her global recognition, including many awards, like the prestigious Women of Substance Award in the year 2006 and 7. So her service to the environmental conservation is unmatched and priceless. Dr. Maya's expertise has been sought after in prestigious projects like her role as a mangrove expert consultant for the Maharashtra Gene Bank in the year 2008. She also participated in the G20 proceedings as a speaker. She has shared her insights with global leaders, amplifying the importance of environmental conservation worldwide. She has also won many other awards like the Kovai Wonder Woman and the Internatonal Mangrove Award for her commendable work for environmental conservation. So today we have with us Dr. Maya to speak on mangroves, the coastal barriers. Over to Dr. Maya. Thank you. Presentation. Presentation is on. Camera. Now you can start presenting topic. People are waiting in the lobby. Yeah, that will do. You can use this button to navigate. No, that here. Good afternoon, everyone. We'll be starting presentation. Just give me 2 minutes. Yeah, can you please? A few people are waiting in the lobby. I do from my phone. Okay. Now shall we go to the presentation? Yeah. So once again, welcome to this webinar which is organized on the occasion of Mangrove Day. And I'm feeling very nostalgic today because I used to work in mangrove forest in Mumbai. I worked for more than 10 years, and I'm talking about mangroves after a long time. So this is the picture which you are seeing is taken from the crane. Above the watchtower, we had hired one crane, and from there, this is the view of Godrej Mangrove. You can see the Thane Creek. And that was the center where we created awareness about mangroves. And I remember whenever I used to ask people that, do you understand what is mangroves? What is your understanding about mangroves? So people used to ask me, what? Mangoes? Mangoes, yeah, we are like mangoes. So that kind of awareness, I don't know now how it is, but many people don't even know what are mangroves. So once again, welcome to this webinar, and I want each one of you to generate more and more awareness about mangroves and why they are important after going back from this webinar. Then only purpose of this webinar will be served. So this is mangrove ecosystem. Many of you may be aware that it is like a peculiar habitat or peculiar ecosystem which is found at the interface between sea and land, where usually creek is meeting sea, or where there is an estuary, or where there is a nice mixture of salt water and fresh water or backwater. So many of you might have seen mangroves in your area. Sometimes they are nearby creeks, sometimes nearby rivers, and mostly in backwater areas. So why do you think these mangroves are so important? Why should we be bothered about conserving mangroves? Many of you must be aware that they act as a bioshield. They protect us from strong wind and wave action. They faced hostile conditions like high salinity, wave action, marshy land, very poor oxygen, but still they are warriors. They are like soldiers. They are protecting us from strong wind action, wave action. No other plants can grow in that area because that condition is so hostile. Like, they have to face constant wave action. Salinity is so high, no other plants can grow there. Oxygen is very poor. They're growing in marshy land. So they are something very unique with lots of adaptations. They have evolved around 114 million years ago, and they also provide very good habitat, critical habitat for a diverse flora and fauna. Now, you must be wondering, if other plants can't grow in this area, how can mangroves are growing in that area, which is having such a hostile condition where salinity is so high, constant they have to face wave action, wind action, marshy land, no oxygen. How can they survive? They can survive because they have got something special, very, very special, which other plants do not have. This picture is also I have taken from Godrej Mangroves in Vikhroli in Mumbai. You can see this is Abyssinia marina. You can see roots are coming up. Usually we have seen in all the plants, roots are going down. Here roots are coming up. They're coming up for to breathe, to get oxygen. So they are called as breathing roots or pneumatophores. Now, other this thing is prop roots. Few mangroves like Rhizophora, red mangrove, or Brugueria, they have got prop roots which can help them to stand very firm in the recording, right? Firm in the land where they can stand and they can face all that wind action and wave action. And because substratum is so low, no other plant can grow there. So you can see those things coming out and something protruding from the stem, that is called as prop roots. Some mangroves, they have salt glands like Abyssinia and all. They have got salt glands through which excess salt is thrown out because they can't tolerate so much high salinity, especially those mangroves which are growing nearby areas where salinity is very high. Now, different mangroves are growing in different areas. Some mangroves can tolerate highest salinity. For example, Abyssinia marina, or they can tolerate salinity as well as high pollution. So those kind of mangroves, they have salt glands through which they can throw excess salt. Some mangroves like Rhizophora, Bruguera, Candelia, their seed gets germinated when it is attached to their mother plant. You can see something is coming out, something hanging. People think it is pod. It is not pod. It is that root, that something kind of root or that seed has started germinating, and it then gets detached from mother plant. It starts floating, and then it gets launched when it gets proper substratum and starts getting growing. So you can see nature's wonders, what all adaptations and what all magical things they have. That is why they can survive. They are present in almost 112 tropical and subtropical countries. And in India, total cover of mangrove cover is about 4,482 square kilometer, which is approximately 7% of world's total area of mangroves. And in India, we can see mangroves in West Bengal, then in Andaman Nicobars, Lakshadweep, Odisha, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Goa, all that western coast, west coast. And you might have heard about
Sundarban. Sundarban is a World Heritage Mangrove Site. You can see huge, big mangroves like the dominant mangrove is Sundari. So that is why that area is called as Sundarbans. Xylocarpus and Heritaria. Many mangroves are there in Sundarban. Then Andaman and Nicobar also similar flora is there. Flora and fauna, Lakshadweep. Then we have got lots of mangroves in other areas of west coast. In Maharashtra itself, we have 52 creeks. So again, coming to mangroves, why they are important, why they have to give so much importance and protection, because they are protecting us. They are protecting our shorelines from sea waves. They act as bioshield. They shield us against cyclones and tsunamis. They may not prevent tsunami, but they act as they reduce the impact of tsunami. They act as a barrier and they reduce the speed of that wave. So let me tell you one story. This when previous few days ago when there were tsunami a few years ago, or cyclones, the impact of cyclones and tsunamis was so high in Nagapattinam. It is in South India, and Pichavaram is also in South India. But Pichavaram impact was very, very low. You can guess why it was like that. Because Nagapattinam mangroves are destroyed completely. Very few mangrove patches are available. And Pichavaram, it's a thick cover of mangroves. Also, MS Swaminathan Institute and many other institutes has taken efforts to conserve mangrove there. So it is a live example that why mangroves are important and what they can do for us. They are standing on the bank like soldiers and fighting with all those strong waves of tsunamis and cyclones and protecting us. We all know about this one horrible incidents that flood in Mumbai on 26 July 2005. I was there in Mumbai. My daughter, this like drivers dropped her near my house, and she was literally, coming, and water was till her neck, and she was like something like swimming kind of thing. She was coming. Why that happened in Mumbai? Rains are usual thing, but wherever Mumbai is an island and it is surrounded by all sea and creeks and mangroves. But because of this so-called unsustainable development, these builders have illegally reclaimed wetlands and they have built buildings after building. Like though there is a Coastal Zone Regulation Act and Mangrove Act and all, nobody is bothered. No act is getting implemented, and they are removing these lands. They are first what they do, they start dumping all the waste, then that waste becomes that mangrove starts dying because of water flow stops, and then they reclaim that land and they start constructing wetlands. They say that mangroves are dead. After that, we witnessed what happened, because there are not many wetlands where rainwater can get percolated. So everywhere, if you have concrete jungle, where that water is going to go? So when you are playing with nature, you are understanding that what is happening to you. If you don't protect nature, your existence itself will be in question. And now this is a high time to learn that why we need to protect forest, nature, or mangroves. See, this figure is showing that you can see that red and orange areas, which is like showing that how much benefit these areas are getting because of protection of mangroves, how people and property are getting protected because of mangroves. That maximum benefit is seen where this maroon and red color is shown. Another importance of mangrove is they provide breeding and feeding ground for a number of marine organisms. And these are very specific, special mangrove associated animals, like you can't see this fiddler crab or mud skipper in any other habitat. So these are all mangrove associated fauna or fishes or crabs, which are unique and very important. Mangrove also provides us timber for building and then fuel wood, charcoal, fodder. Then it is a major source of tannin for leather industries. It gives income for fisher folk, and they are great places for tourism and recreation. We are so busy in concrete jungle. When you go to mangroves, you'll really enjoy in whether it is Sundarbans or it is Andaman Nicobar or Kerala backwaters. This is some mangrove species. This is like different flowers from mangroves. I'll just tell you one by one. This is Rhizophora micronata. This mangrove prefers little less salt water, and it is mostly seen at the forefront. It is a source of firewood, charcoal, fodder, mosquito repellent, and many mangroves have got these medicinal properties, and they have stilt root or prop root. I just told you that how they help them to stay strong in strong wind and wave action. And you can also see that viviparous germination, where seed is growing when it is attached to mother plant. This is Soneracia alba, Soneracia opetala, 2, 3, 4 species are there. Sigillarius. Here, these are great source of timber. They also prefer more fresh water than salt water. And they have this prominent knee kind of roots, that their breathing roots are knee shaped. Their pollination happens by bat, and they are also good source of fodder, food, and tannin. This is Salvadora persica. This is actually a back mangrove species, not actual mangrove. This is associated with mangrove, and it can grow in saline area, and these seeds are used in soap industries. Exocaria agaloca. This is a milky mangrove. Its sap causes skin irritation and sometimes temporary blindness. But sap is also treated for toothache, ulcer, and they use it as a fish poison, in the sense like they use this for killing fish, but that poison is not very strong, and then they use that fish for selling. Then its bark is used for plank and matchboxes, and this is also used in various medicines. As some research is happening to do to extract medicines or develop medicines from this plant against cancer or HIV. And one more interesting story, this Exocaria agalica, this milky mangrove, is there in somewhere near Chidambaram, near some temple. And whenever these people with skin diseases used to go and take bath in that water near that temple, they used to get cured. Now we think that, oh, what this miracle, this is God, some miracle. But later people understood that that lake was surrounded by Exocaria agaloca, that is milky mangrove, and that sap was constantly released in that water. And those people who were taking bath in that water, they were getting cured. So this mangrove has got medicinal properties which can cure skin diseases. This is Abyssinia marina. This can tolerate high salt and pollution. So you can see that in Mumbai or in most of the polluted areas. This is a very dominant mangrove. Again, it is used for fuel, timber, and medicinal purposes. Even people can eat, make pickle, and cattle feed. This is Bruguera. This is again similar to Rhizophora. It is a front mangrove. Can be used for firewood, charcoal, and tanning, and it also has knee roots. This is Aegisaris caniculatum. It is a great source of honey. It's wood, tannin, and it grows in less saline area. It also prefers little fresh water. Now, so you can see number of birds and animals and mudskippers and telescopium fish and telescopium snail and fiddler crab and are associated with mangrove. So they support number of migratory birds and local birds. So India has almost 8,000 kilometer coastline and 23 million people live in coastal belt. So these mangroves, they provide livelihood for all these coastal communities, and fisheries sector provide employment to more than 6 million people. That accounts for 1.2% of India's total GDP. See, this is again the most important benefit of mangrove is they act as a carbon sink. They store huge amount of carbon. They store more carbon than any other ecosystem in this world. If you compare to terrestrial or any other ecosystem, this global forest contains like almost 638 billion tons of carbon, which is more than all the carbon in the atmosphere. So you can understand the how much carbon is sequestered by forest or plants or mangroves. And mangrove forest stores more carbon, as I told already, than almost any other forest on Earth. That is the study is done by US Forest Service and university scientists. This mangrove tidal marshes and seagrass remove carbon from the atmosphere and they lock into soil, and where it remains for years together. So if you destroy mangrove, all that carbon is again going to get released into atmosphere, and which is going to harm us and cause global warming. And this marine ecosystem, which is continuously building carbon pools, storing huge amount of carbon, is called as blue carbon. So already we discussed this mangrove sediment stores 5 times more carbon than temperate and tropical terrestrial forest, because it has got complex root system where the flow of incoming tidal water slows down and organic and inorganic material is settling in the sediment surface, and there is a waterlogged condition, so oxygen is very low, so decaying process is very low. So what happens that more and more carbon starts getting accumulated in the soil. So mangroves have more carbon in their soil alone than most tropical forests that above ground or biomass and soil together. If you take forest and mangroves, in soil itself, mangroves are having huge amount of carbon dioxide. They are also extremely productive ecosystem, and it is found that mangrove uh, stores, like when the study research team from US Forest Service Pacific Southwest and Northern Research Station, they found that they studied 25 mangrove forests across the Indo-Pacific region, and as already I told, they found that per hectare mangrove forests store up to 4 times more carbon than other tropical forests around the world. So once again, we can say that why mangroves are important. Not only they act as a coastal warriors or give support to huge or varieties of animals and plants, but they also help us in managing climate change. We all know why climate change is, we are facing so much problem, unpredictable rainfall, changing pattern of seasons, and then rising sea level due to glacier melting, then thermal expansion of the seas, and extreme weather events like floods, landslides, and droughts. So mangroves help us to reduce that. Also, they act as a barrier between sea and land, and many times, like for example, they have adopted to that seawater level. So MSSRF, they have taken genes from mangroves and they have done some research to develop rice which has got similar properties, so that they can tolerate salinity. Also, MSSRF has developed this mangrove and fish farming. So they allow fishing in the mangrove. They allow fishes to grow in the mangroves. So already we discussed that this deforestation can cause huge carbon emission, and that, okay, one more interesting thing is deforestation is contributing more to carbon emission than fossil fuel consumption does. So you can understand that how it is going to contribute to climate change if we do not conserve mangroves. Many of them, these mangroves are already declared as a threatened by IUCN Red Data Book. We have already lost 50% of the mangroves in last 30 to 50 years, almost 40% in west coast of India. So this deforestation is again going to contribute to greenhouse gas emissions. Now, what are the threats to these wetlands and how these mangroves are disappearing? Most of us, we are aware this is because of so-called development, our greed. We want more and more unplanned development, more buildings, industries, agriculture, then pollution, pesticides, this toxic industrial waste is mostly dumped here, overexploitation, many invasive species, oil spills, especially in creeks. All these are threats to mangroves as well as wetlands. So what can be done? So community participation is very, very important. This UN Ocean Conference, in that it was revealed that 2.4 billion people live within 100 kilometers of the coast, and mangrove provide protection to community. Now, if we take help of community to save these mangroves, it will be win-win situation because community is getting benefited from mangroves and we can conserve mangrove forest with the help of communities. So if we link carbon credits to mangrove restoration, community also will get more benefited. So now many of you must be knowing that developed countries get carbon credits from developing countries. So if we link this restoration programs with carbon credits, then we can have a win-win situation where community also can earn resources. Economic benefits, yeah, like we usually think that development is against environment, but it is not like that. Little investment in restoring nature can give you a long-term benefits because altogether United Nations Environment Program says that they have calculated what is the valuation of all these ecosystem services, and it says that it is $70 trillion per year. Can you imagine? It is such a big figure, $70 trillion per year benefits we are getting from these ecosystems. And wetland alone, it is 7 trillion per year by UNEP study. So this is some examples where some mangrove conservation programs are happening in pockets. Like this is a Godrej mangrove where I was working as manager. So this acts as a second lung of Mumbai after Sanjay Gandhi National Park. It acts as a carbon sink, and almost 10-20 visitors visit every year to this center and get awareness. They also do restoration. And this area supports rich biodiversity. So once again, I want to tell you that nature conservation is not against development. Ultimately, no development is sustainable without taking care of nature, and we have to go for sustainable development where development with minimum environmental damage. So these are again two more examples from South India. This is late Kalan Pukden. Many of you might have heard about him. He was famous as Mangrove Man. He spent over 2 decades of his life planting and preserving mangroves in Kerala. And he planted over 1 lakh mangrove saplings alone, along with the river banks. Another inspiring example is Murugesh and TP. He is also now called as Mangrove Man, and he has also planted more than 1 lakh mangroves, and he has his own mangrove nursery in Waipin Island in Cochin. So there are so many examples and inspirational stories. So instead of just telling, oh, mangroves are degrading, government should take care, or some NGOs should take care, we all should come forward and save our resources. Otherwise, our existence itself will be in question. So we can report if we see any tree cutting or mangrove destruction, we should report to forest authorities or police. We should participate in EIA, like the environmental impact assessment, distinct decisions, participatory programs, and raise our voice. And we should respect every living being's right and participate in conservation activities. Join nature clubs in your colleges, participate in plantation programs, participate in webinars, and spread that information among your friends and family. So save nature for sustainable future. Save mangroves because they are coastal warrior and they are also help us in combating climate change. Thank you very much. And if there are any questions, I am very happy to take.
So audience are requested to post your questions if you have any in the chat. We'll be answering to them. You can also unmute yourself and ask your questions out.
Any questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, I have.
Yeah, please ask your question.
Ma'am, I
We're not able
wanted
to
to
hear
know,
you.
like, is there an amount or particular?
Your question is not clear.
We can't hear you. Yeah, this PPT will
Hello,
be there
ma'am.
in our. Somebody has asked, can we share this PPT? Yes, this PPT I will share in our website and link. Sushmita will share the link in chat box.
And one person has raised his hand, Ajit Singh Patil. So you can unmute yourself and ask the question.
Madam, I wish to know how soon we can hope to get carbon credits for planting mangroves and preserving them.
Sir, that is a big process. We have to find out where these carbon credits are available, which country or industry is planning to take these carbon credits, and then there has to be collaboration. And when you do plantation programs, if they are willing to buy, we can sell the credits.
And another question is by Gaurav. He has asked, what are the restoration method of degraded mangrove ecosystem?
There are different things like we dug canals and allow the creek water to flow in the canals and plant mangroves in some areas. Some areas we just plant near the estuaries where already mangroves are degraded, where there is a muddy land or marshland where continuously tidal action is happening.
Another question. I have
Ma'am,
heard
is
that
there a particular amount of?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Is there a particular amount of carbon that mangroves can absorb, or it can absorb any amount of carbon, like n number, infinity?
No, it can't absorb n number. Na? There will be limit for everything. So there are many studies they have
Exactly.
found out that how much carbon they can absorb. That is you have to monitor biomass over a period of time, and from that you have to take how much carbon it has absorbed, and then you can calculate about how much per acre or per hectare they are absorbing carbon. But it is more than normal
varieties
ecosystem,
of
more than
trees.
any other forest.
But definitely there is a limit, right? Ma'am?
Yes.
Yes.
So there is another question which says, I have read that mangroves quickly grow back or regenerate if left by themselves. Is it true?
Actually, it is not very true, because unless there are seeds available, mangroves won't grow at their own. So it is better to do some plantation program where there is a degradation is happening.
And there is one more question by Gaurav. Is there any special importance of birds in mangrove ecosystem?
Yeah, definitely. Like any other ecosystem, birds have got their role in pollination, and they get associated with mangroves for food. And many birds, they live on mud flats, and they get this particular fishes and species which are found only in mangrove ecosystem. So those birds are associated with those kind of fishes, and mangroves, they act as a migratory, like mangrove, they act as a stopover for many migratory birds, and they provide them habitat during winter. For example, flamingos and many other migratory birds.
And there is another question by Akhil Raj. Where are the sequestered carbon stored in mangrove? Is it on the stem or pneumatophores?
It is sequestered in entire plant as well as soil. This carbon is sequestered in entire above ground biomass as well as in soil. Soil, because whatever mangrove litter is falling down, since mangrove's root system is very complex, lots of water and water is getting stagnant there, and sediments are there. And when these leaves are falling in that, because of low oxygen, they decay very slowly, and huge amount of carbon is stored in soil as well as above ground biomass.
So Anjali has asked, can you mention about the laws and policies in our country?
As I told, there is a Coastal Regulation Act by which you are not supposed to do any problem with network. Yeah. There are many laws like Coastal Regulation Zone Act, where by this law we have to leave minimum 500-meter distance from high tide line. You should not do any construction work. But most of the laws, they are remaining only in paper. They are not getting implemented because of huge political pressure and builder lobbies. Also, you are not supposed to cut mangroves, even if they are in your private land.
So another question by Sachin, which says, what are the different methods that can be used for stock assessment in case of mangroves?
What are the different methods to
stock assessment in case of mangroves? What are the different methods?
What do you mean by stock assessment? Carbon assessment?
Carbon stock.
Carbon stock, yeah. That you have to measure the biomass and then litter periodically, and from that you have to measure carbon, like how much carbon is there in leaf litter, how much carbon is there in trunk, how much carbon is increasing per year. Like what is the carbon in 1 year, and next year how much there is a increase, and based on that there are some formulas you have to calculate how much carbon is absorbed by any mangrove in that particular year. in soil, in litter, in above ground biomass.
That's it. Most of them have asked about carbon credits. So I think ma'am has addressed that. If you have any other question, you can unmute yourself and ask.
Hello, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, I want to ask you a question. Use different types of mangroves. So, he growing for many types of soil, like clay soil, lamp soil. So, any name suggest for growing for sandy soil?
This Abyssinia marina is little sturdy mangrove. It can grow in any kind of area.
Okay. And which is, ma'am, fastest growing mangroves? Which species?
It is difficult to tell like that. Most of the Abyssinia grows faster. Rhizophora is also there. Most of the mangroves grow at this almost similar speed. I don't know anything which is growing very fast.
Okay, ma'am. No, don't worry. Any mangroves for using for aquaculture field?
Yeah, I told aquaculture in MSSRF, they have used this Rhizophora mangrove and in between the mangroves they have done fishery because there is a stagnant slow flowing water between mangrove trees. So between that stems and roots where there is a water, they have done fishery. Intermediate fishery, they say that for that.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
I think no more questions are there in the chat. So we have shared the feedback link in the chat. So please do fill them. Like I post the feedback link again. So if you want your certificates by email, so please do fill this to avail your certificates.
Okay, so thank you very much for joining this webinar, and I hope you will generate more awareness among your friends and families and colleagues, like what all you learned, something new today, you will spread across and you will take some action initiatives either for mangrove conservation or forest conservation or to save environment. And we conduct many such webinars through our center. So I request you to participate frequently and get benefited. We also have newsletter. We will be sharing